In the shadowed halls of the north, where the wind howls across the frozen tundra and the stars hang heavy as ice, there is a truth older than the frost. Wisdom is not given. It is taken, and the price is never what you expect. We remember the gods as mighty, as invincible, but there was one who walked a darker path, a king who sacrificed his own flesh to purchase the secrets of the dead. This is the story of the Allfather, the hanging god, the one-eyed lord of the raven and the wolf. This is the cost of absolute knowledge. Long before the world was shaped, before the fires of Muspelheim met the ice of Niflheim, there was a void. But even in the emptiness, there was a desire for order. The Aesir, the gods of the Norse peoples, built their realm, Asgard, high above the nine worlds, connected to Midgarda, the realm of Mina by the burning rainbow bridge, Bifrost. These were not soft gods of sunlit fields, but hard gods for a hard land. They knew that Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods and the end of all things, was coming. It was prophesied. It was inevitable. And in the face of this doom, the greatest of them hungered not for gold, nor for glory, but for the one weapon that might stave off the end: wisdom. His name was Odin. He is the wanderer, the hooded figure with a broad-brimmed hat, walking the roads of the world with his eyes hidden. But he was not always the all-knowing. There was a time when he was but a warrior king, powerful yet blind to the deeper currents of fate. And so, he sought the Mammothbrunner, the Well of Mímir, a spring of waters so cold and dark that they reflected the cosmos itself. It was said that Mimir, the giant who guarded the well, drank from it every day and was the wisest of beings. Odin came to the water's edge and asked for a single draught. He asked to drink deep of the waters that hold the memories of the past and the shadows of the future. But Mimir, a creature of ancient bargains, looked upon the god with eyes like flint. The wisdom of the Well of Urd does not come cheaply, the giant intoned. If you would drink of this water, Odin, you must pay a price that can never be reclaimed. You must give me one of your eyes. The cosmos held its breath. A god, trading his sight for vision. A king, maiming himself for a secret. But Odin did not hesitate. He understood the terrible calculus of power. To see the truth of the world, one must cease looking at it as others do. He took his own spear, Gungnir, the weapon that never misses, and drove it into his own face. He plucked out his eye and cast it into the dark, swirling waters. It sank beneath the surface, a shimmering coin of blue and silver, paid to the depths. In that moment, the pain was blinding, but the understanding that flooded him was absolute. He drank, and he saw. He saw the threads of fate weaving through the nine worlds, the destinies of men and gods alike. He became the Allfather, the Lord of the hanged and the slain, knowing that his sacrifice had purchased him a foresight that was both a gift and a curse. But the thirst of a god is a bottomless chasm, one I was not enough. The Renisa, the magical alphabets that hold the very fabric of reality, that can turn the tide of battle, heal the sick, and raise the Diada, were still hidden. They were not letters to be read, but forces of nature to be unlocked. They were etched into the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree, the axis of all existence, by the Norns, the fates who spin the threads of destiny. To find them, Odin had to die. He traveled to the branches of the great ash tree that pierces the heavens and descends into the underworld. There he took his own horse, Sleipnir, the eight-legged steed that gallops between realms, and hung himself on the high branches. He pierced his own side with his spear, offering himself to himself. He hung there for 9 long nights, a windless, corpse-like figure suspended between life and death, suffering the agony of the wound and the starvation of the spirit. He was alone. No bread passed his lips. No mead quenched his thirst. He hovered on the precipice, peering into the abyss below. On the ninth night, the darkness shifted. From the depths of the well, beneath the tree, the runes revealed themselves. They glowed with a fierce, primal light, the secrets of the universe laid bare. He reached out, grasping the burning shapes, and pulled them into his being. He screamed, not from pain, but from the sheer, overwhelming surge of power. He fell from the tree, reborn not as a man, nor as a simple god, but as the supreme master of magic. He had cracked the code of reality. With the runes and the waters of the well, Odin looked upon the world with one eye, and he saw the end. He saw the great wolf Fenrir breaking his chains. He saw the sea serpent Jormungandr rising from the deep to poison the sky. He saw the death of his beloved son, Baldur, the shining god, the first true crack in the invincibility of the Aesir. And perhaps the cruelest wisdom of all was the knowledge that he could not stop it. Fate is a river that flows in only one direction, and even the Allfather cannot swim upstream. He could only prepare. He could only gather the greatest warriors to Valhalla to fight the last battle, knowing it was a battle they were destined to lose. To the people of the North, this myth was not a fairy tale, but a terrifying truth about the nature of leadership and sacrifice. They lived in a brutal world where the winter was long and the harvest short. They knew that anything worth having a victory, honor, knowledge demanded a sacrifice. Odin was the ultimate symbol of this code. He did not sit on a golden throne dispensing justice. He wandered the earth, disguising himself as a traveler to test the hospitality of men and to learn their secrets. He was the patron of the berserkers, the warriors who fought in a trance-like fury, but he was also the patron of poets and skalds, for he had stolen the mead of poetry from the giants, spilling it into the world to inspire human tongues. This myth speaks to the terrifying bargain of consciousness. To be wise is to suffer. To see the world clearly is to see the decay within it, the inevitability of loss. Odina's sacrifice is the archetype of the shamana's journey, the wounding of the self to access a higher power. He gave up the sensory perception of the eye to gain the spiritual perception of the soul. He died to the laws of the living to become the master of the dead. The legacy of this price is etched into the very language of the North. We speak of Wednesday, the day of Woden, Odina's English name. The runes, once a gift of torture to a god, became the alphabet of the Vikings, used to mark stones and swords, carrying the memory of that hanging tree into the dirt of Scandinavia. And the image of the one-eyed god endures in our imagination, a reminder that true sight often requires the loss of something tangible. And so, when you look up at the dark, star-filled sky of the northern winter, remember the Allfather. Remember the God who bought his wisdom with the coin of his own flesh. We are all heirs to that choice. We can look away, keep our sight, and remain in the comfortable dark. Or we can pay the price, open our inner eye to the harsh and beautiful truths of existence, and grasp the runes of our own fate. Wisdom awaits, but only for those willing to bleed for it.